You've gone too far, Jasmine. Is that how you treat a friend? Dorothy smiled apologetically. So you're telling me you're not going to pay, is that it? Jasmine asked as she pulled out her phone. Jasmine! Dorothy was so anxious that she almost stomped her foot. She knew that Jasmine knew some very nasty people. Jasmine waited for the call to connect and put it on the speakerphone. Spencer, are you there? It's Aunt Jasmine. I'm at Downtown General. Someone owes me a ton of money and she's refusing to pay me back. Who the hell would do that? Came an angry voice over the speaker. I'll be down there right away. Jasmine hung up and smiled triumphantly. She knew that her nephew was one of the most powerful men in Chicago and he had hundreds of people under his command. She was certain that Dorothy and her daughter would pay her what they owed her now. Lily struggled to sit up in her bed. Can you please wait a few more days, Jasmine? We really don't have that much money on hand today. Lily had heard James's nephew's voice, and it sounded like he wouldn't try to resolve this peacefully. It's not that I'm being unreasonable, but there are certain things that everyone knows. You don't gamble if you don't have enough to cover your bets, Jasmine replied snobbishly. Dorothy and Lily were speechless. They all sat in awkward silence and waited for Jasmine's nephew to arrive. A little while later, there was a flurry of footsteps in the hall and the door flew open violently. Who the hell owes my aunt all that money? You'd better be ready to leave town, the tall man shouted as he walked into the room with his bodyguards. They were a tough-looking bunch. Several nurses saw them and ducked into patients' rooms to stay out of their way. The group's leader was none other than Spencer, the man Kevin had asked to be his deputy in the Chicago branch of the Myriads. His brother Derek would have been there too, but he had other business to attend to. Did you hear me? Spencer shouted. Who exactly owes my aunt money? Thanks for coming here, Spencer, Jasmine replied as she pointed at Dorothy. She's the one who owes me and my friends over $600,000. You? Spencer glared at Dorothy as he sauntered over to her. Do you know what I do to people who don't pay their debts? I didn't say I wouldn't pay her, I just don't have the money right now, Dorothy admitted reluctantly. She was absolutely trembling in fear. That's no excuse, he answered coldly. Our family really doesn't have the money right now. It'll take me a few days to get it together, Lily tried to explain. She was having a hard time talking. After all, she'd just gotten out of surgery. But she could see that the man's arm was covered with scars. He clearly didn't mind resorting to violence. Why are you wasting your time, Spencer? They said they don't have the money. Just take them, Jasmine ordered her nephew. His men started moving Lily and Dorothy with vicious looks in their eyes. Don't touch my daughter, Dorothy shouted as she stepped in front of Lily. She just got out of surgery and she shouldn't be moved. Go to hell, Spencer growled as he pushed Dorothy aside. Suddenly there was a furious roar from the doorway. Stop it right now. Kevin walked into the room and the Myriads were stunned to see him. Dorothy was actually relieved to see Kevin. She pointed at him and told the men, This man is my son-in-law. Just ask him for the money. If he doesn't have it, you can beat him up for all I care. Your son-in-law? What the hell's going on here? As Spencer turned around, his voice trailed off. He was in shock. Enforcer? Spencer stammered as he tried to process what was going on. Dorothy said that the enforcer was her son-in-law, so that would make her. He knew he was in big trouble. What are you guys doing in the hospital? Kevin asked with a slight frown. The men got over their shock and started to greet Kevin very genially, but Kevin quickly raised his hand to stop them. Tell me what happened. Nothing much, Enforcer. I just came to the hospital for a checkup because I wasn't feeling well. I happened to pop into this room to take a look. He lied through his teeth. He wouldn't dare admit that he was there to demand money from Dorothy and Lily. The Myriads remembered what Kevin had done to Nolan Hill at the Salix Leaf Hotel, and they knew he wasn't someone you wanted to piss off. But Kevin wasn't a fool. Of course, he didn't believe Spencer's excuse, so he walked over to Lily and asked her, "Honey, what's going on?" "They came to ask for money," Lily admitted. Then she told Kevin what had happened between her mother and the women who were in the room. After learning about Dorothy's gambling problem, Kevin looked at her and then he looked over at Spencer. "We're finished now," Spencer thought to himself as he considered the situation. "I just had to come here and demand money from the enforcer's wife while she's lying in a hospital bed. We're all dead men." "I'll cover her debt," Kevin said calmly. Even though Dorothy hated him and she'd really crossed a line this time, he was still her son-in-law. Kevin figured it was his duty to help her pay back the money. "There's no need for that, Enforcer," Spencer responded right away. How could he take any money from Kevin? He was starting to regret ever answering his aunt's call. "I'm telling the truth. Give me your routing number and I'll transfer the money. I can't possibly let you come here for nothing, can I?" Kevin insisted. $600,000 wasn't much money to him. How could he refuse to pay what his family owed just because he was the Myriads Enforcer? That wouldn't set a good example for the other members, would it? Dorothy and Lily were still trying to figure out what was going on. When Dorothy wasn't able to settle her gambling debts, Jasmine called her nephew Spencer to force her to pay up. Spencer arrived soon afterward and was threatening Dorothy and Lily when Kevin came into the room. Spencer and his men recognized Kevin as the Chicago branch enforcer of the Myriads. They offered to cancel the debt, but Kevin insisted on paying what Dorothy owed. "But I couldn't possibly accept that from you," Spencer protested. He was scared out of his mind at the thought that he'd been threatening the enforcer's wife. The whole room fell silent. Jasmine, Dorothy, and the others just stood there with their mouths hanging open. What the hell was going on? How could all of these ferocious men be so afraid of Kevin? And did they just call him the enforcer? Jasmine had never seen anything like this before. Her nephew usually handled her problems right away because he was such an intimidating figure. Jasmine was perplexed by the whole situation. "Listen to me, Spencer," Kevin said as he pointed at Dorothy. "She's my mother-in-law and I'm willing to pay the money she owes to your aunt and her friends. It's only fair." "We can't let you pay her debt, Enforcer. We don't want your money. In fact, if I'd known this young woman is your wife, I wouldn't have even come here with my men," Spencer insisted desperately. Lily lay in the hospital bed watching Kevin through tearful eyes. How many other things had her husband kept hidden from her? "Just accept the money. I'm not kidding." Kevin practically begged Spencer to let him pay. "Please, Enforcer. I couldn't possibly take anything from you," Spencer pleaded. Jasmine looked questioningly at her nephew. "What's wrong with you, Spencer? I won the money fair and square." "Aunt Jasmine, we really can't take their money," Spencer tried to explain. "No, that won't do. I must have what she owes me," Jasmine demanded. She looked at Kevin and had an idea. "I have no idea why you're so afraid of him. Have you mistaken him for someone else? He's just Dorothy's loser son-in-law." "Please, Aunt Jasmine, you have to stop talking," Spencer said curtly. He couldn't help thinking about what he saw Kevin do to Nolan Hill as he sobbed. "My aunt doesn't know who you are. Please accept my apologies." "Don't worry about it. But please stop all this groveling," Kevin replied as he rubbed his forehead. This was the first time he'd ever encountered a situation where he couldn't even give away his money. "I appreciate your understanding, sir," Spencer said gratefully. Jasmine realized she was getting nowhere, so she announced dejectedly, "I'm pretty tired after playing cards all night. I think I'll just head home and get some rest. Bye, Spencer." She and her friends quickly walked out of the room, leaving Dorothy staring at Kevin in disbelief. Her opinion of her son-in-law had changed a lot. Did he meet some big shot while he was in jail? Dorothy thought to herself. But Kevin didn't care what Dorothy was thinking about. He walked over to Lily and kissed her on the cheek. Then he said softly, "Everything's okay now. You should get some rest. I have a few things to take care of." "Yes, honey," Lily nodded in agreement. Kevin stood up and took a deep breath. He glanced at the Myriads who were standing there looking very agitated. "Don't just stand there. Come along with me. I've got something I want you to do for me." Kevin walked out of the room and the rest of the men quickly followed behind him. Kevin led them to the stairwell door and gave Spencer an order. "I want you to take some of your men and find out everything you can about the Hill family for me." "Are you talking about the family from Detroit?" Spencer asked in surprise. "You know about them?" Kevin asked with a slight frown. "We've worked with them before and I know them pretty well. They're very strong, but not a big challenge to most of the people in the Myriads or the Alliance," Spencer explained. He had a good idea of what Kevin had in mind. "Very strong? That doesn't matter to me. I want Craig Hill to suffer for what he's done," Kevin growled as he clenched his fists. "Have everyone meet me at the Whistler Hotel tonight at 7 o'clock. I've got something important to announce." "Yes, sir," Spencer replied as he took his men and quickly headed downstairs. Next, Kevin called Mitchell Cook to ask him to clear out the hotel for the evening. When Kevin got to the hotel, he saw the only people there were the Myriads and the hotel staff. A large buffet had been set up on the first and second floors. In the largest private room on the top floor, Kevin sat at the head of a long table, and dozens of representatives from the other branches sat along the sides. "Enforcer, we finished our investigation," Spencer reported. "What did you find?" Kevin asked him tersely. "I don't know why the Hills family strength has increased so much in the past few years, but the most important ones are Craig Hill's 5 adopted children. They're quite advanced in their training and they've obviously benefited from herbal medications. And they're giving the family a real edge in their competition, especially their financial dealings." 5 adopted children? Kevin pondered as he swirled the wine in his glass. "There's one more thing. Their compound is heavily guarded," Spencer hurried to add. "Sounds like this won't be easy," Kevin commented as he put his wine glass on the table. "Can you think of a way to get at them?" "I really don't know how we could take them down without heavy losses," Spencer informed him bluntly. "Do you really think so? No matter how many we sent against them?" Kevin asked. But deep down inside, he already knew the answer. If Craig Hill's children were as powerful as Spencer had said, they could resist any number of attackers. "And there's something else, Enforcer. They're expanding their operations to Chicago. It's possible that they have another trick up their sleeve," Spencer pointed out. He had to lay out the facts, even at the risk to his own family. "So you're saying that we can't do anything about them?" Kevin asked grimly. "No, that's not what I'm saying. We just have to chip away at them. To overcome their strength, we have to take them out one by one. If we go after all of them at once, we'll only hurt ourselves," Spencer said confidently. "So what's your plan? This is no time to beat around the bush," Kevin stated plainly. "From what we've found out, Craig Hill's 5 adopted children all have different hobbies and interests. We can use that to set up a trap for them," Spencer explained. It sounded like a good strategy to Kevin. He gave Spencer his approval. "All right, then I'll leave the details up to you. Whatever the cost, you have to set things up right. But I want his children taken alive. As for the others, I don't care what happens to them." If they were as powerful as Spencer had said, Kevin might as well keep them alive. They could be useful to him. "I promise I won't let you down," Spencer agreed excitedly. Kevin nodded in agreement and raised his glass high in the air. He announced loudly, "This is the first time I've given you orders since I became the Enforcer. I wish you all success." "Don't worry, Enforcer. You can count on us," one of the senior members replied so that everyone could hear. The rest of them stood up and shouted, "Yes!" Kevin let them all eat and drink as much as they wanted. He fell asleep very late in the back room that Cook had reserved for him. The next morning, Kevin washed up quickly and drove straight to campus so he could get to Professor Murdoch's class on time. Penny passed a note to Kevin as soon as she sat down. It read, "Are you free tonight? I still owe you dinner." Kevin smiled and shook his head. Penny was still trying to make up for that whole thing with her cell phone. After their dinner plans were interrupted by Professor Murdoch, Kevin had completely forgotten about it. If she hadn't given him a note just now, he never would have given it another thought.
Good work, Kevin. You've already made friends with the cutest student in our class,
Dalton commented as he saw the note on Kevin's desk. Dalton knew about Penny's reputation, and he also knew that everyone in the school wanted to get to know her. Boy, would they be jealous to know that she'd actually asked Kevin out to dinner. It was a dream come true. It's no big deal, Dalton. Do you want to come along? Kevin smiled as he patted his friend on the shoulder.
You don't have to ask me twice,
Dalton replied happily. Of course he was married, but it was just a dinner with friends, not an affair. He was sure that his wife Miranda would trust him. Sounds like a plan. Kevin wrote back to her very casually. I'm free this evening, but I want to bring Dalton along too. Penny opened up the note and took a look at it. She quickly scribbled a reply and handed it back to Kevin. That's up to you. The way she saw it, it was just a meal. It would be nice to have an extra person along. Just then, a woman walked into the room and went to the podium and put her briefcase on the table. Some of the students had noticed her in the halls, but nobody said anything inappropriate after what they saw happen to Chase Rogers on the first day of class. Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Wendy Colt, your medicinal herb instructor. I'm in charge of teaching all of you how to concoct pills and make herbal medicine. Today, I'll take you to the pill room to take a look at our facilities. I'll also give you a sample pill while we're there, Professor Colt explained in a very professional tone. Professor Colt, does this mean that the school still believes in concocting pills? One of the students asked her hesitantly. Of course. Medicinal pills are a very important aspect of personal growth and development. Good medicinal pills can help someone to advance by leaps and bounds, she replied very directly. However, as there were fewer and fewer apothecaries over the years, we lost some of our knowledge base, so the current formulas are exceptionally rare. The preparation techniques that you will learn have been developed over the past several decades, from piecing together what information we had left, combined with modern pharmaceutical techniques. That's how we're able to approximate the original lost recipes, Professor Colt explained. So even though they're not exactly the same as the pills of the past, we like to think that they're even better, Professor Colt boasted as she led the students out of the classroom. Most of these students had only seen a few herbal meds in their lifetime. Now they found out that they'd be able to learn the secrets of pill concoction. How could they not be excited by this? A few minutes later, they arrived at the science building and headed into the pill room. The enormous space was lined with exotic plants, and there were long tables running from one end of the room to the other. Each table had a large bowl and some preparation equipment that looked a little like kitchen utensils. Professor Colt divided the class into smaller groups. Kevin and Dalton were happy to see that they'd been assigned to the same group. Some of the other students were jealous to see that Penny was also put in Kevin's group. Everyone, please listen to me. The school permits you to take any pills you make out of this room as long as it's been inspected and approved by the instructor. Please note that some of the ingredients have been artificially grown. They're very difficult to find in nature, she informed them. You have to listen to my instructions very carefully. Don't do anything without checking with me first. Today, I'm going to show you how to make the healing pill. Its main purpose is to treat all kinds of external injuries. Under normal circumstances, it only takes 2 hours to take effect and heal your injuries, Professor Colt explained as she went to a large cabinet and took out 6 kinds of medicinal ingredients. She used the equipment on the table to measure and prepare the ingredients in the bowl. Then she lit a Bunsen burner on the table. While she was doing this, she continued to describe what she was doing to the attentive group of students. Wow, Professor Colt is so awesome, one of the students exclaimed. Yeah, this stuff's really cool, her classmate replied. A lot of them never thought they'd actually be able to witness someone making herbal medication. They watched intently as Professor Colt prepared one pill after another.
Kevin, don't you know how to do that too? I'm very curious to see who's better, you or Professor Colt, Dalton remarked as he nudged Kevin in the ribs. You also know how to make herbal pills? Penny asked Kevin in amazement.
But Kevin didn't answer their questions. Very seriously, he warned them. Dalton, you and Penny should leave the room right now.
What's wrong?
Dalton asked him with a very puzzled look on his face. Professor Colt must be distracted by talking too much while she's working. She just missed an important step and the bowl is going to explode in less than 5 minutes. Kevin quickly explained. They had to do something, and quickly.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.